right, just finishing touches on the XJ. So today, what we are going to attempt to do is the control arm drop brackets. So you got them here. This is for your lower and upper control arm drop brackets. Basically what it will do is lower the height of the control arms by about 4 inches, 4.5 inches or so, to kind of even out your control. You can see my control arm has to come down and then level out. So what that actually does is that means the majority of road vibrations or what have you, you're actually going to feel in the vehicle as opposed to feeling in the coils and suspension like it should do. So these will actually go on here, lower this down to here to where your control arms have a much better angle on them. It's actually the equivalent of a long arm kit, where long arm will come all the way back to your cross brace. This is just a cheaper, cost-effective way to do it. The only downside, if you want to call it downside, is it's going to hang down a little bit lower right here, so it can catch on rocks. But given my situation, what I'm going to be using this for, and the rock sliders that I've got coming, they're going to go on there. I don't think that's going to be an issue, although I do hate screwing with control arms because they are a pain in the butt to get your axle line back up. But that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to get it jacked up, and you can watch me screw this all up since this is the first time for me. All right, so got the lower control arm off. This is going to be a 21 millimeter bolt and a nut on the back. If you're like me and you only have a 121 socket, you can use a 7/8 on the nut. It'll come off. One thing I'm going to tell you is on your carrier housing, when you take those off, don't be surprised if you break one. I did. Take a run to the hardware shop. It's essentially just a carriage boat. You just got to make sure it's got a small head so it won't be any interference with it. I don't foresee there being any interference, but got both off on both sides. Now we're going to take the uppers, and then we'll start installing the brackets. But again, on these XJs, you're going to make trips to the hardware store to get nuts and bolts. So all right, let's go from the upper control arms. I'm not going to take it off the axle since these have been on not too long. I know the bushings there are good. So what you've got is on the outside, like you see it, you got a 9/16 nut or bolt that goes through here, and then it's a 9/16 inch nut on the back of this. Be prepared to drop your sockets down the subframe. Happens every time. But we're going to take those off, and then we'll start getting this assembled. All right, so got the upper and lower control arms disconnected. Not gonna lie, the last upper was a pain in the butt. So now we can start installing. So basically I've got this that'll slide up inside. Mine's a little tight, so I'm gonna have to finesse it a little bit. But I'll show you as I get to that point. All right, ran out of some time last night. What I'm actually gonna do today is, in order to get this to tilt some, I'm gonna go ahead and remove the passenger side upper control arm totally. That way I can get the rest of the bracket in. Then I'll adjust that, which I'll show you how, and then do the same on the other side. I want to do that so that it keeps this kind of some tension so it doesn't rock backwards or forwards on me. It'll kind of help hold it in place. I'm hoping that'll make it easier moving forward. I've done this before where I've disconnected all 4 of them at once, and it is a pain in the butt basically to get it back together. So we're going to try it this way. I'm going to go ahead and take this other control arm off, which is a 14 millimeter, I believe. And then finish putting the bracket up, and then measure this side and adjust the top control arms. We'll do the lowers at the end. All right, got the bracket on. So you're gonna come through the side, put the crush sleeve in there, hook the other plate onto it. I just got them hand tight now so they don't fall. I'm not gonna tighten anything up yet. And then your new lower control arm, or I'm sorry, upper control arm will go in here. But what I'm going to do now is go ahead and adjust my control arms and go from there. All right, so if you're looking on your control arms, how high you want to, or how long they need to be. So this has got your, if this is your lift height, this is over factory, right? 4.5, 6, 8. This is your lower control arm length. This is your upper corresponding. You may have to do a little bit of math like I did. Like I know for a fact that I have 5.5 inches on mine. So I had to do a little bit of math conversion to get where I need to be. Several different ways you can figure out the height of your Jeep if you don't know it. Google it, pretty simple. Great videos on how you measure. and then subtract those numbers from the stock height, and it will give you what your length is. All right, so got my upper adjusted, tightened down, got it in here. Still got all this stuff kind of loose for right now. See, I got the bracket, got the crush sleeve up in the top. It's kind of confusing to try to figure out until you actually just crawl up under it and look. Got all this squared away. Got my bolts in through back here, hooked to this bracket. Then I'm going to go ahead and fit this back piece here. Make sure that's all good to go. Then we'll start tying those in, and then I also have to drill in here. And like I said, I'm going to try to get this front, the passenger side upper on first, and then we'll measure and adjust this lower. Try to go ahead and get it in here too, so that we'll have this side done, so we don't have to articulate it as much for the driver's side. All right, got this side on. Gonna mark this, drill this, and put the bolts in. What I'm actually going to do is, since my axle's twisted now, because this side's in, the other side's pulled in, I'm going to hook my winch up to it, run a come along, and pull my axle straight so it's easier to do the other side. So that'll be next once I get this part squared away here. Now, before you do what I just did, make sure you have it chalked to where you're not going to pull the Jeep off of the jack stands, because even if it's in park, it's still got some play to it, okay? But my axle was tilted back pretty far from the tension. So what I actually did was took my soft shackle, hooked it to my soft shackle receiver of my winch, ran my winch to another soft shackle and my actual shackle here on the wife's Jeep, and back to the winch so that it would pull my axle out. But again, once you do this, make sure you check your jack stands, make sure everything's good to go, or you will pull this down on yourself. But yeah, more than one reason to have recovery gear. All right, so based off of everything I got, we're all hooked up, all back together. I do have to tighten the actual control arm bolt and the missed space washer, whatever you want to call it, that's inside. So I'm going to tighten that and tighten the lower control arm bolt. And then what I'm actually going to do before I throw on the other piece that I have to drill into the frame, I'm going to go ahead and put the tires back on and then do it at that point. At least that's my plan right now. So again, I hate screwing with control arms. I measured them. Hopefully we're good. We should know pretty soon. So got these drilled out, got it put in, got the bracket in up here top. So passenger side's done. Gonna go finish the driver's side, put the tires on. All right, should be all good to go. Gonna throw the tires on it, clean up all the tools, and then take it for a spin. All right, everything's buttoned up. It's getting kind of late, so I probably won't drive it till tomorrow. But if you can see, my control arms are a lot lower, a lot more level, so it should greatly help. Again, had to readjust my upper and lower control arms, so there may be some more tweaking that I have to do with that. I won't know until we get it out and test it, but all buttoned up, back together. And you can see it does hang down a little bit, but I'm not worried about that, as long as it improves the ride quality. So far, so good. I am going to check my camber angle real quick, and then we'll call it a night. All right, so again, thanks for watching. Again, it's kind of hard to video some of this because it's all up underneath, but man, it's going to be a lot easier if you got somebody to help you as far as moving your axle around, or, you know, fortunate for me, I could just run a winch and a shackle and pull it where it needed to go. But we'll let you know how it does and see how much different the ride is. And thanks again for watching.